We're going on a 4-day bikepacking adventure where we'll be taking on big hills, torrential rain, gale force winds, wild animals, thick mud and even the sea in the hope of seeing some beautiful British countryside. Our route would take us 225 miles around the Lake District and Yorkshire Dales, carrying 15 kilograms of camping gear on our bikes. For a full list of gear, check out our bikepacking test ride using the link in the top right of your screen. Oh yeah, and you're probably wondering why I'm wearing these trainers around my neck. The night before our trip, the 4 of us met up at Ben H's house as it's an hour closer to the lakes. And only then did it occur to me that I'd forgotten to add one thing to my list. With the fear of having to ride over 200 miles of sliders hanging over me, I rushed to the nearby mountain warehouse and bought the cheapest pair in my size. Needless to say, these holy Flyknit things weren't my best purchase. Anyway, let's get on with the trip. On Friday morning, we set off on the 4-hour drive to Penrith, passing through torrential rain and wind that we knew was going to hit us later in the day. Just arrived in the Lake District, ready to set off. Bikes are packed, they're feeling pretty weighty, but we're ready for the 45-mile-an-hour winds to come. But the first thing to hit us wasn't the wind, but that fresh countryside aroma. That stinks! No. And then came the rain.
I'll take you cycling in the pouring rain.
14 kilometres in. The rain and the wind is easing up a bit, thankfully.
Yeah, I may have spoken a bit too soon on that one.
45 miles an hour, baby. Listen to that. And we're in shelter. This is my new technique of avoiding the rain and the wind.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Bear in mind that this is meant to be the middle of the British summer.
Oh, that was hilarious.
The rain was playing havoc with our gears and brakes.
Oh. That was nice. Good noise. Oh.
And with Ben Spurgeon's hands.
God, I would like some gloves. Gloves, bro. God, your fingers are out. I want proper gloves. Oh, mate, look at them.
Ben wasn't wrong. The views over rolling hills were at least vaguely making up for the poor weather.
How far in are we? 25k. That's beautiful.
During the last pit stop, I lent Ben a bungee cord to hold up his saddlebag, which went well.
Oh, bloody hell. Just keep winding it around and it'll go.
After that pretty stupid breakdown, we made some good progress before coming to our first challenge.
Oh my god, what's happening?
Or at least, it turned out to be a challenge for one of us. After that, we breezed into the next village where we stopped to warm up and dry off.
First proper stop off.
We're in the pub. We're going to Cock in Your Mouth and stopping off there for dinner.
Absolutely sodden feet.
Good fun,
completely soaked. Other than that, having a whale of a time. The Lake District is absolutely beautiful, I'm sure, in the summer. Well, I suppose this is the English summer. This moment right here, right now, is probably one of the least favourite in my life. Soaking wet socks. That's like see-through. Horrid.
But not as horrid as the gale force headwind we had to deal with for the next 10 kilometres. Apologies for the poor camera work here, but the wind was so strong I had to keep my head down to avoid my jacket turning into a parachute.
These winds are crazy inside. We made it 6 kilometres in about half an hour. Madness. What a mic!
After another 5 kilometres of head down riding, Ben captured how we were all feeling. On the other side of the hill, we got our first sight of a lake and even got the chance to stop off for a quick photo shoot.
Oh mate, you've got to be straight on. Working.
That was the worst 60k I've ever done in my life.
Then we rode into Cockermouth, where we scoped out a camping spot for the night and performed our ablutions.
I'm going to start with burning my clothes. That seems like a sensible idea. Are we feeling fresh as a daisy, lads?
Yes.
Oh, the wash was brilliant.
Then we went back into town to find some warm food and 4 cold Guinnesses before bed.
Oh, Cock City.
The next morning, we awoke with quite a shock.
So we're having to pack up camp at 6:30 in the morning because cows are eating and stuff. They've already eaten one of my bike straps. When I say eat, he literally swallowed an entire strap.
Update on the cow situation, they're no longer interested in us. Apparently the technique
is to talk to them really nicely and say please and thank you.
We tried clapping, we tried shouting.
That did actually really work.
And Max went over and said, please cows move, and they actually listened.
Yeah, everything else they kept encroaching. They actually got right to the end of our bivvy bags and I thought they were going to start eating our bivvy bags. They were doing the bull thing of scraping their leg and moving their head at me. But no, apparently please and thank you works.
God, I need a
I'll be honest, that was pretty terrifying. Thought they were going to attack us.
Nice new spot. Only a couple of dog walkers. Doggers, as we like to call them. How are you feeling, Miguel?
Pretty tired.
Me too.
Yeah, not great.
It's taken us nearly an hour and a half to set off, and now it's pissing me down with rain. The rain's got worse. Pretty boat wet.
To get out of the rain, we went for a big breakfast in Cockermouth.
I'm very happy for you.
And thankfully, we had mostly dry weather as we rode the 20 kilometres to Lake Buttermere. And what a sight. At a mile long and a quarter of a mile wide, Buttermere is actually one of the smaller lakes in the region. But that didn't make it any less breathtaking.
Wow. Nice.
In order to visit Buttermere, we'd strayed off the Lakes and Dales loop and planned an alternative route to rejoin it at a later point, extending our route by only 10 kilometres. But as the roads turned into dirt tracks and the hills were looming larger, we started to question our decision.
We've just looked at the route we had planned, and it's over the top of a mountain that you can't even do barely walking, so let alone on bikes.
It's essentially asking us to climb a mountain with our bikes.
So we doubled back, adding 20 kilometres onto our original 80-kilometre route for the day. And then the rain started again. Still, there are worse journeys to have to repeat.
I just fell off. Again. This is a nice place to fall off. We were stopping on the gravel and I turned too sharply. My wheel went in the puddle and I fell over. But I'm all look good. No scratches.
After rejoining the original route, day turned. We had some big climbs as we headed towards the coast, which led to two things. First, Mike started to get knee pain, which meant our progress was slow. Then, as we climbed higher, the weather went from bad to worse. At this point, I discovered that my new waterproof jacket wasn't as waterproof or windproof as I'd hoped.
I'm so wet and cold!
We were all in a bad way.
Down this hill.
I think I nearly passed out a second ago.
Really?
I just lost vision.
I just want to get out of the clouds. I'm wet and cold. So cold. We're in a town, mate. I am so wet. I'm broken. Well, let me eat and move over. We need to get out of the wet. I know I have to get out of the wet. That was the hardest thing we've ever had to do. I am soaked to the bone, freezing cold. The wind was so hard. The hill was enormous. We've now stopped at the first hotel / pub we've seen, desperate to get dry, maybe even find a warm bed and cop out on the camping for tonight, because we're all feeling pretty miserable, apart from this man over here who still wants to go camping, is feeling absolutely fine.
Hopefully this is going to make us feel better. And then, who knows, maybe a B&B, maybe the bivvy bags in the wet.
Yeah, bivvy bags in the wet. Bivvy bags.
Just left the pub. We've got 15 kilometres to go until we get somewhere which we think we can stay for the night. We've cut the route shorter because of the weather. Additional problem is that Mike's knee is really hurting, so it means that we're going to get there slower. Obviously not his fault. When I walked outside from the pub, I was shivering. I was just like convulsing uncontrollably. I think Mike was pretty much the same.
The mood for the next hour was very sombre, and as soon as we arrived in the next village, we bottled it and checked into a B&B to wash and dry our clothes, get a warm shower and a warm bed for the night.
There he is. Welcome to heaven.
Oh, it's quite nice, isn't it, actually?
It's lovely. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. Is this the best decision you've ever made?
It is, yeah, best £40 I've ever spent.
But Ben and Ben are still going to go out and camp by a nearby lake just down the road, because they are true adventurers. Although, in hindsight, the two Bens got the better deal.
They got to use all the facilities, had their clothes washed and dried for them, and they didn't have to sleep in a stifling hot room with the clothes heater on all night.
Morning everybody, welcome to day 3. How are we feeling, boys? We ready for 135 kilometres today?
It's a big one.
Unfortunately, Mike has got a poorly knee,
Which one,
and
Mike?
so he will not be joining us for the rest of the trip.
So we said our goodbyes to Mike and set off with 135 kilometres ahead of us. The night before, we'd made the decision to take a slightly longer coastal route to reduce the elevation early in the ride, which in hindsight wasn't our best idea.
Left.
Okie dokie.
A new part of adventure.
Oh god, sand. I'm likely to fall over in sand.
This is awesome. Oh, this is awesome.
I hope that we haven't traded a mountain for a lot of sand riding.
After a few more kilometres, it was starting to seem that way.
I'm actually going to get off the bike. Just
Yeah.
look at that.
Oh, that's grim. That's grim. Let's get this over and done. Oh, I nearly.
That bridge in the distance is a holy sight. They must do, otherwise people wouldn't get across. No, we're not doing that. Quick update, we've gone completely the wrong way along the coast. Komoot, the app that we use, has told us that there is a bridge here. As you can see, there is no bridge, it's just a train track that goes over the sea. We thought it might be unused, but it's not. We just saw a train. I'm currently halfway up this very steep hill, full of stinging nettles and thorns. But I think we're gonna have to take our bikes back round and do a long route, almost starting again. So new plan, we're going across the sea. Ah! Oh, it's so cold. Oh, we made it. Have a look at my bike. We set off at 9:30. It's now 11 o'clock and we have made it a total of 8 kilometres. We were hoping that an hour and a half in we would have made 30 kilometres. We're well behind on our day when we're trying to catch up from being well behind. So it's not a good start.
On the plus side, we got to see some cute little puppies. Oh, look at them.
All right, how are you doing?
And after that cute little interval,
It's certainly an adventure.
If we weren't trying to get very far today,
Yeah.
I would not have been bothered by that. It's quite an enjoyable, fun experience.
Big distance now. I can't even promise that that's the last time you do something like that.
I'm going to tell you now it is.
it wasn't. Our next challenge was 2 kilometres of thick mud.
Oh. Flip-flop falling off for the 100th time so far today.
After completing just 13 kilometres in 2.5 hours.
Look at this road.
Tarmac. This is the rain start.
We decided to find our way back to a main road so that we could rejoin the original route.
First walk hill of the trip. Ben's still going. Oh, well done, Ben. We've just arrived in Broughton, which is where we were supposed to end the night last night. It's already 1:30. A very quick pit stop to fix our bikes.
Lieutenant Dan, we got no brakes.
We've done what, nearly 30 kilometres in sliders? There needs to be a new debate, cleats versus sliders as the optimum performance cycling shoe. The bad thing was when my gears slipped and my foot went straight off the end of the pedal and kicked the slider into the middle of the road on a 60-mile-an-hour A road. So that's a quick fish finger sandwich and then back on the road. Lads, this is our first bit of sun!
First time I'm wearing a jacket. The worst time to be gunning out.
Next up was our steepest climb of the day. 150 metres of elevation with the gradient reaching 17% near the top. At which point, I gave up.
Couldn't hack it.
But the other 2 pushed on.
What was it, a big hill, mate?
Biggest I've ever done.
Christ, you can't even see the part where we started.
After that, my legs were spent, but Ben told me about a handy technique to make the climbs more bearable.
I was doing the Essing technique and I found that helped massively actually.
It does, doesn't it?
It's 4:30, we've done 63 kilometres, so we've made up good time. We're hoping that we'll get over 100, which will leave us a bit short of what we were aiming for, but it could have been much worse after this morning's display. Also the sun's up, which is just amazing.
Big hill. We've got a nice stop by the sea.
We stopped at the pub for quick refuelling. We have water, J2Os,
No Mars bars, they didn't have any Mars bars. First element of civilization, we've seen a co-op, a Tesco, a spa. It's crazy. My body is aching quite a bit, I have to say.
Other than our aches and pains, we breezed through an almost completely flat next 20 kilometres.
This is lovely. We're just over 100 kilometres. We've got about 10k left to do today. We've probably got about an hour's light left, and we think it might take us an hour, maybe a little bit more. We've got to climb that hill over there. This is our last task for the day. Are we all feeling ready for it? No. I think the answer there. That's the biggest concerns. If we arrive in the dark, one, everywhere here seems to stop serving food at 8:30, and two, we have got to find a campsite. Hot food, a pint of Guinness, and the location we're sleeping. If all three of those things are on the other side of that hill, we'll be happy that we climbed it.
We've broken the back of the mountain. No relation to Brokeback.
I was going to say, yeah.
Thankfully, the unspoilt market town of Kirkby, Lonsdale met our first two requests.
We're feeling incredibly sore after 113 kilometres, but we have arrived in one of the nicest, if not the nicest village or town that we've seen so far. And we're in this really nice restaurant, looking completely out of place, which is why we're sat in the bar having food.
Very underdressed. Very underdressed.
We're sat here discussing baby wipe showers whilst we're sat next to people who are out for their like lovely Sunday dinner. Cheers, lads.
But despite following advice from the locals, finding somewhere to set up camp in the dark proved pretty difficult.
We definitely don't want to go down there. No? No. That's far too close to the water.
And then the storm came.
Morning everybody. So last night we ended up trekking in the dark trying to find somewhere to camp, and then the heavens opened on us. We got absolutely soaked for about an hour, which meant that all of our sleeping stuff that we were already wearing got absolutely soaked, so it was unwearable. And we ended up camping in this lovely grassy bit, which you can see is very nice. We're next to a lake as well. Only downside is that it's basically a common. Yeah, there are benches and stuff.
In the middle of town.
But at least there were no cows. That was a big upside to this.
Unpacked.
Unpacked. Whose stuff's all that?
It's the flapper.
As we set off with the sun shining on our final day, we felt confident that we could complete the final 105 kilometres. We'd had all of our bad luck, and apart from a bit of a slapstick start, nothing could go wrong. Right?
Yeah, it's just my ankle.
First puncture into the trip.
So we made it 2k.
Over the next 15 kilometres, we climbed from sea level up to 300 metres and back down again in glorious sunshine to reach the old town of Sedberg, where we stopped off for a quick lunch and cream tea.
Very happy.
Weather's so good now, we've even got sunglasses and sun cream.
Dodgy sunglasses.
Make that the world's best. They're not like rubbish oak trees or anything.
Good catch.
After that great display of sporting prowess, we climbed some more hills, making it just 5 kilometres before...
£3 bike, causing all the issues today. We've got to stick to the noble steeds, not these fancy bikes.
Oh my god.
Oh, this is going to be fun, right, quickly.
Couldn't do it a better time.
And now the cows are interested in this as well. Don't do your moo's way better than mine. Look, all the cows are interested.
But amidst the excitement of all the animals, we discovered a far more damning problem with Ben's bike.
Not just the chain, now we've got a second flat tyre, we've got no spare inner tubes, and we're in the middle of nowhere.
With the puncture repair kit still on Mike's bike and the nearest bike shop over 80 kilometres away next to our car in Penrith, we feared the worst.
We've now been trying to fix Ben's tyres for, what, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. Thankfully, these lovely people just came past, these cyclists, and they have given us a spare inner tube which actually fits Ben's bike, hoping that the puncture won't happen again.
After losing an hour and a half of precious time, we put the hammer down and made good progress over the next 35 kilometres, despite me having a slight stomach issue due to all the energy gels.
Quick toilet stop for Max. I think he might have himself.
For the first time in 2 days, I am back in normal shoes. We've got more chain issues, unfortunately.
After fixing Ben's bike for what felt like the 19th time, I gave the GoPro to the others for a bit.
Go on the boys!
This, ladies and gentlemen, is a cow. Moo! Loves it! And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a sheep. This is Max, 25. Max likes biking all weekend with his friends.
Likes is a strong word.
He also likes whiskey and designing dresses.
What? What do you enjoy, Benji?
Shall I do him?
don't fancy it. Come on, Dad! The caravan, ladies and gentlemen. What a beautiful evening.
It genuinely was a beautiful evening to finish our trip on.
Yeah, we take this over rain any day.
However, as the aches, pains and exhaustion set in, we started to count down the kilometres one by one.
Still climbing, plenty of hills. How long left, Mac?
25 kilometres to go.
20 kilometres to go.
I'll smile, but really I'm in pain.
Less than 10 to go. We thought we might not make it. Are we going to make it, Max?
We're going to make it. We're definitely going to make it. The finish line can't come soon enough.
But even then, our spirit remained high as we approached our final hill climb.
What? I still got pair of pants.
And boy, it was a tough one.
This one's for you, Mike.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike.
You would have loved this hill.
Ben's knees were in agony after his painkillers had worn off, and I was having to alternate between standing and sitting to even out my pains.
This is the top.
I think this is the top.
This isn't quite the top.
No, don't get over
We're nearly at the top.
Nearly at the top.
But then finally, mercifully, we reached the top. After riding 362 kilometres and climbing the equivalent of Mount Kilimanjaro over 3 days and 5.5 hours, we coasted down into Penrith to finish our epic journey.
Champions! Champions! Ole, ole, ole. The car! The car! Oh my god, I've never been so happy to see my car.
Me.
This is it, boys. We are one man down. Michael, we miss you a lot and we wish you were here with us.
Oh, boys. Broken.
Well done.
Absolutely broken. Lakes and Dales loop completed.
That was horrible. That was horrible. Ben's a broken man. Now to drive 4 hours home.
After a pretty hairy drive home, we made it back in one piece. That was, without a doubt, the hardest thing I have ever had to do. There were some big highs, but some even bigger lows. I'm very proud to have done it, but would I do it again? No, or at least not in the same way. I would do it again if I was more prepared. First, I'd make the ride more comfortable by getting a bike that actually fits my body shape, has gears that work in all conditions, and a better seat. Second, I wouldn't deviate from the official route. Third, always carry at least 2 spare inner tubes and a repair kit. Fourth, I'd wear cycling jerseys rather than sports tops as they regulate body temperature better and stop wind chill. Fifth, I'd start riding earlier in the morning, have dinner and set up camp before sunset. And finally, I'd go somewhere warm and dry. And even then, take waterproof everything, especially shoes. Ben H and I ended up doing more than half of the trip in sliders. There was, however, one big win of the trip, and that was my bike. It was the only one that made it 225 miles without going wrong. No punctures, no chain coming off, nothing. Admittedly, the gears and brakes aren't perfect, but I'm very happy with the outcome of my bike service, which, if you haven't seen yet, you can check out by clicking on the link in the top right of your screen. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of these videos, then please subscribe to the Small Wins channel. Consider maybe giving the video a thumbs up, maybe even leave a comment below. And if you want to follow us on socials, we're at Small Wins TV.